The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining. We're going to get started in 5 minutes.
Hello and welcome. Thanks for giving up a little bit of your day to spend some time with us. I am Patrick Clore, Head of Customer Insights with GiveSmart by Community Brands, and we're thrilled to have each and every one of you here with us and joining today's conversation. Today is episode 12 in our Outside the Room fundraising success series, where our sole hope is to try and inspire each other to continue innovating by examining those who have done it so well up to this point. So we hope you brought your backpacks with you today, filled with plenty of pencils, as today we're going back to school. And we are joined by the dynamic duo of Karen Rokish and Stacy Kubitz from St. Mary Catholic School in Dekalb, Illinois, who have graciously given up time to share their story, which is one that I think any organization, regardless of size or stature, is going to be able to learn a lot from. So Karen and Stacy, thank you so much for joining us here today.
Thank you. We're excited to be here.
Awesome. And we are also joined by
GiveSmart's
own Susanna Crawford, our community manager, and Ala Levental, our senior customer success manager, who both are deeply experienced fundraising consultants, giving up a little bit of their time and insight. Susanna and Ala, thanks for joining us here again.
Happy to be here.
Awesome. So we'll start off with a little bit of process and procedure, syllabus day, if you will, to kick things off. So to start, in the chat, you'll see some resources that we wanted to share where no matter where you may be in your fundraising journey, hopefully can help you accelerate your impact and further your causes in there. And then we are going to start first period, if you'll allow me another pun to start things off with just a quick pulse check on how you're feeling. It's someone we've been doing week over week to try and gauge as it stands today on August 27th. How confident are you that you'll reach your fundraising goals this year? Not so hot, making some strides, hitting it for sure, or we might even pass it. And Karen, while folks are weighing in, could you just describe for everyone a little bit you and Stacy's role at the school, and in particular, all the funds that you guys raise, what they go towards?
Absolutely. Thanks, Patrick. So Stacy and I are both parents at the school, and we are involved in the fundraising. So we are volunteers, just two moms that want to make a difference in the school and help ensure our kids have a great education. St. Mary Catholic School is an organization that teaches preschool from 3-year-olds up through 8th graders. And we have around 200 students in our school each year. So tuition covers about 60% of our annual operating budget. And then our parish kicks in a subsidy. And then we are on the hook as a school for fundraising about $80,000 a year to close that budget gap. And so Stacy and I work together on a couple of different committees to help raise that money. And we'll talk about 2 of those today when we talk about the Lancer Dash and we talk about the Lancer Legacy Ball.
That is awesome, and you guys have done some work and some amazing work. And I think the fact that you're volunteers even makes it even more impressive. So, Ala, as we look at the poll, I'll toss it over to you to start. You know, how does this resonate with the data that you're seeing in talking to customers as of late?
Well, first off, I'm really happy to see the results of this poll and to see that a lot more of our customers are getting comfortable and feeling more confident that they'll reach their goals. And looking at this, I really think that there's a few factors that are leading to this, but of course, I think it's more resources, crowdsourcing, conversations like this, and of course, more lead time that is leading to this. With gala season ramping up, I think now that plans are starting to fall into place, you feel a little bit more confident that it's going to happen. And even leading up to gala season, we've seen so many different creative campaigns that our customers have never done before. And it's been a really cool way that I've seen them supplement their fundraising, outside of their big signature event. So I think this is really great.
No, that was awesome analysis. So with that, it's time for classes to really begin. So today, as we mentioned, what we're going to be covering is how Karen, Stacy, and St. Mary's Catholic School are innovating fundraising and having a ball while doing it. And then Ala will rejoin us at the end with some very intriguing data insights. And our panelists have all agreed to stay for about 10 to 15 minutes at the very end for some question and answers. But you don't have to wait till the end to send in. You can send in questions throughout the conversation here today in the chat. Don't hesitate to send multiples, and anything we're not able to get during the call today, we will be sending a recording to all of you after the fact, and we'll make sure to address each one in there. So Susanna, I'll toss it to you to start. Can you just walk us through, what some of the things that the team here has done?
Absolutely. Thanks, Patrick. I am so excited to do this. I've been waiting to talk to Karen and Stacy for months now since their event. We're going to dive right in here. So Karen, first thing, what is everyone seeing right now? Can you tell us about this lawn sign in front of us?
Absolutely. So our school, as most schools, we're focused on in-person learning and in-person learning only. And so back in March, when the governor of Illinois shut down schools and required everybody to stay at home, our teachers pivoted in the course of, no joke, probably 5 days. They were given the heads up on Monday that things might be shutting down on Friday. Sure enough, on Friday, our kids all came home from school with their backpacks and told to expect to learn from home for 2 weeks. And the teachers made that switch seamlessly. Like, it was amazing to watch. And a lot of our teachers have been teaching for many years. Some are not all that tech savvy. And so, we thought we'd be going back to school in April. It turns out we never did, right, until just last week. And so our kids finished a whole quarter e-learning at home. And so at the end of the year, the parents wanted to say thank you to the teachers for making that switch and for still having our kids learn. I mean, they still completed their classwork. It was for a grade. It wasn't just busy work. They were working, 5-6 hours a day. And so we went and put a lawn sign on each of their lawns to say thank you for the effort that they put in. And we wanted to let them know that it did not go unnoticed by the parents.
That is just an amazing way to keep your community engaged. And leading right into that, you guys, we went over your Facebook and through different things building this content, and oh my gosh, your Facebook engagement is incredible. So Stacy, I wanted to ask you, how does your community engagement really work, and how does it lead back to your fundraising efforts that you're doing? What are we seeing here? Stacey, I think you're on mute still.
Sorry, I'm sorry.
No problem.
Yeah, I wanted to give credit first to another volunteer mom. Her name's Lauren, and she handles pretty much all of the Facebook and Instagram posting. She couldn't be with us today, but she does a remarkable job. You can see a couple examples here, but yeah, she really pushes the envelope and trying to engage with the community, asking for, questions to get feedback. And, we love to do funny little, memes and stuff like the one you see on the left with the cat, and just try to engage with the community and make it fun while also letting them know what we have going on at the school. And we just feel like it's such a great way to make the community aware of our faculty and all the fun things that we're doing, which brings them in for those special events, and in the end, in some cases, leads to new students at the school. So
that is awesome. Also, we were joking about this yesterday when we were all getting ready. We apologize in advance. We are not production quality people. So as we mute and unmute and there's gaps in the delay, if you're listening to us live, don't think your internet's going out or anything like that.
Thank you, Patrick, for jumping in here. And we'll go right into this. So Karen, I know we have a lot of eager listeners to hear about the poker night you guys threw and how you did this. Can you walk us through how it works and what it takes to set this up in the back end?
Absolutely. So last spring, when everything shut down, we still had a pretty big hole in our operating budget that we were counting on a couple of end-of-year fundraisers to close the gap. And we weren't sure what those were going to look like because everything had been shut down. And so one of our dads had put his hand up and said, hey, why don't we do a virtual poker night? Now, we had run poker nights as one of our sign-up parties or buy-in parties in previous years through our annual gala fundraiser. And those were always a big hit with a lot of people signing up for those. And so we thought, let's try it. Let's try virtual poker night and see what happens. And so we basically sent out an email to the whole school, posted it on our Facebook page that we were going to do this. And, we used Venmo or PayPal to have people pay. And so they paid, this dad, the contribution fee. And then you had to have two screens going to run the poker night. And so on one screen was the Zoom. We used Zoom as our, networking tool so that we could all see each other and talk to each other and, have the good card table banter going on. And then on the other screen, we used it's a free software. You just sign up for it called Poker Stars. And that when you register for PokerStars, it automatically assigns you to a table. Like you're part of a private event that you get invited to. So once you paid the $40, you got an invitation to the private party on PokerStars, and then it would assign you to a table. And so we ended up having 3 different tables going. The first time we played that $40 buy-in, all of that money went to the school. And then we had a second round with a smaller buy-in where the payout went to the players. And it was really, really fun. We had some women playing, some men playing. Next time we do it, we said we're gonna have a separate women's table. But it was really, really fun. As I said, we had 3 tables going. And so we raised about $1,500 for the school. Our plan is to keep that going and to do it quarterly throughout this school year. So there'll be another one coming up, but it was a lot of fun.
Fantastic. It sounds like it was a great fundraiser for you and also created some fun engagement for you as well, which is always a win.
Yes.
Awesome. So we'll do that. And then this is a future event coming up for you. So we have the Lancer Dash. It's a virtual 5K. Stacy, I'm going to pass this over to you. I know you're close to this event. Can you tell us high level, how is this set up? How are you guys doing this?
Sure. Yeah, this is our first year for doing the Lancer Dash virtually. It's our 7th year, but obviously typically it's in person. But we felt that the need was still there as a fundraiser for the school, and so we just thought, well, we'll give it a shot. And we basically promoted this almost entirely through Facebook, a few emails and newsletters through our school community. Or through the church community, but primarily all on Facebook. And I'm happy to say we've reached our minimum goal for participation and our sponsorship goal. And we are not done with this event until September 20th. So it's kind of a fun thing, you know, if you're a runner or you walk, and we wanted to get families out and doing something healthy with each other and still be socially distant and that kind of thing. So it's a great chance to just register online and you run wherever you want to run at whatever time you want to run it. So you can pick the best weather day. And then you log your results on our race page. And then we're doing, to try to engage people and get people excited, we're doing a lot of things on Facebook, some contests like furthest running away and things like that. And we're super excited to say that the Lancer Dash is now coast to coast. It's not just Dekalb, Illinois anymore. So we have some participants from Oregon and New Hampshire. So we're really excited to be able to involve a bigger community with our event this year.
That's amazing. So I'm hearing that not only have you raised your participation goal, your sponsorship goal, and you've expanded your reach, and you're still a month out.
That's right.
That is awesome. So
Thank you.
I'm curious too, a question that we're hearing often is, how far out are you guys planning in advance with the current climate going on? How often, like how long is it taking to promote events? How far are you able to plan in advance?
Sure. I think each event probably, varies a little bit, but for example, for the Dash, we did not start until mid-June. We kind of debated back and forth, were we going to do it? What did we want to do for the month of May? Because Illinois was pretty much in total shutdown still at that time. And we weren't sure we wanted to ask businesses for sponsorship and that sort of thing. But we felt come June that the need was too great. We were going to just bite the bullet and see where it landed. And, any money was better than nothing, and any exposure is better than nothing. And we went out and got a ton of brand new sponsors who we hadn't had before. And then a lot of our faithful sponsors came back and continued to support us. So I think that the desire for businesses to support community, charities, so to speak, community events is high, and they still want to do that.
Absolutely. And last question on here from last question on here from this. How did you create new sponsorships? How did you think on who to ask?
We tried to really pick out businesses that wouldn't have really been affected by the shutdown as much, more like service-oriented businesses like real estate, lawyers, insurance agents, things like that, that wouldn't have been affected so much like, you know, a restaurant or, you know, a store that had to be shut down for such a long time.
That is great. And that's, I think, awesome insights and just doing some different things and doing it fun. And that's the one thing in having both Stacy, you and Karen talk is I think it's, you guys are having fun with it and doing it in creative ways, which I think is good. And, you know, speaking of fun and all the creativity you guys have, we're turning to our second segment here, or semester, if you'll permit me another school-based pun, is we wanted to focus on the Lancer Ball that St. Mary's ran back in April. And there's a quote that I'm a big fan of, which is life can only be understood backwards, but it must be lived forward. So as Alan mentioned, as so many people get ready for the fall fundraising season here, we wanted to surface some of the things that this team did back in April when there was no blueprint and no plan, because I think, you know, April and August, there's so much that has changed. And I think some of these little things that this team did on the fly with absolutely no blueprint are going to be excited. So with that, we'll have ourselves a ball. So Susanna, can you kind of guide us through here some of the nuances and things the team did for this particular event?
Yes, absolutely. And this is what you guys have all been waiting for, this dance portion. So jumping right in here, Karen, you mentioned to me in the past that something that you knew people were going to miss when switching over from in-person to virtual was the dance aspect. So can you tell us what you did here and how you set this up?
Yeah. So the Lancer Ball is our annual fundraiser. This was our 20th year of doing it. So we had a whole big thing tied into, you know, 2020, our 20th year, the Roaring 20s. And a big part of it was going to be people getting dressed up and dancing and having a good time at the gala. So when we thought about how do we pivot to a virtual event, one of the biggest things that we knew people were going to miss was the dancing. And so, you know, in our invitation to the virtual event, you know, we made a pun that they didn't have to listen to what we played. They could listen to whatever they wanted on their Alexa. And then we asked people to still get together with their families and dance and send us a video. And so this was, you know, the week leading up to the ball, we're like, send us your dance videos. It could be your kids. It could be you and your husband. It could be anything. It could be, you know, TikTok style. It could just be sweet. And so we did. We had a number of our families. And this was open to everybody. You did not have to be coming to the event. You did not have to have bought a ticket to the ball. It was a way to get the whole community involved, including our school community as well as our church community. And so, so we had them send us their videos. And then in the Give Smart site, when you set up poll items, there's a place for a link. And so we had them all loaded up on YouTube and a private channel. And we put the link to each video in that space on the Give Smart site, and then it shows up as items on the Give Smart site, which you see across the bottom there. And so then we invited everybody in our community to go on, view the videos, and vote for their favorite. And with the voting, you can assign a dollar amount to it, which I know we got this idea actually from a previous webinar with people using you know, guest bartenders and voting for their favorite drink and charging money for it. We decided we didn't want to charge money for it because it was really just a way of driving everybody to the Give Smart site, because we already had our silent auction items up there and we already had the silent auction open. And we knew once they got up there to view the videos for the dance contests, which were the first ones up there with the low numbers, then they could stay on after they voted for their favorite dance and go ahead and look at the other silent auction items and maybe put in some watching and put in some early bids and things like that. So we didn't charge for the votes. You certainly could, but it was a great way that our families had a really fun time voting as well as creating the videos.
It's so fun. What a great idea. Thank you for covering all that. I'm curious, how many entries did you receive and how many votes did you get? Do you remember any numbers?
I think we had around 10 entries, and I think we had over 200 votes, somewhere between 200 and 300 is what's sticking in my head. And then we did have a prize for the winner. So we did give a prize. So there wasn't just bragging rights, there was an actual prize.
Amazing. What was that prize?
I knew you were going to ask me that. And Stacy knows I always mix up which one we use for heads or tails and which one we use for the dance contest. But I believe, if memory serves me correctly, we have a local ice cream store in town that everybody dies for. And so we gave them a gift certificate to the ice cream store.
That is awesome, and I would gladly dance for an ice cream cone. So that is very cool.
Yes, I agree, Patrick. And here, Stacy, we'll bring you in here. So let's dive into the live stream aspect a little bit of it. Okay, so can you talk about the decision-making process to go virtual, and then how you kept it to the most original content? So how you kept it the best compared to your in-person event?
Okay, sure. Yeah, I mean, the goal was to try to give people a very similar experience to what they would have had in person. Everyone had already purchased their tickets and that kind of thing, and we wanted to give them, you know, the most value for what they had paid for. So we chose to do that through a live stream, but we pre-recorded some videos. So the picture you're seeing on the screen here, this is Kristen. She actually is the chairperson for our entire event. So she handles like guest lists and things of that nature. And so she dressed up in her Roaring 20s attire and recorded a welcoming message from her. And then our principal and our pastor of the church also recorded themselves doing welcomings and thanking everyone for attending and for their support and backing the event and all that kind of thing. And then we had those scheduled through our program. So we had our Joe, our Zoom master, would cue those up one after another so that all of the viewers could see them basically seamlessly. And then myself and my poor husband who got roped in, guilty by association, we also dressed up in our 20s attire, and then we kind of acted as the MCs for the night and tried to still make it fun and have the excitement of our, you know, we usually have like a live auctioneer to sort of, you know, proceed through the evening. And so we wanted to still have something along those lines to get people excited and, you know, have some little corny jokes and that kind of thing and make it fun for everybody throughout the time.
I love that. We do love corny jokes here. And quickly, last thing is, how long was your live stream? How long did you guys make your event?
Oh, sure. It was roughly 2 hours, a little bit over. Our first 15 minutes were just kind of an open Zoom, so everybody could get in and connect, and they could kind of, you know, talk to one another. But obviously, a Zoom with, you know, 150 windows in it is a little challenging. But you could at least converse a little bit. Everybody got on, and then we started with our openings then at about 6:45, and we ended around 9 that night.
Nice. Perfect. Thank you so much.
You bet.
Okay. And you mentioned Zoom here. And so, Karen, I'm going to pass it back to you here. Can you tell us about this intro call you had to Zoom, and then how you really ensured that everyone had a fantastic experience with this?
Yeah. So one of the challenges of switching, you know, from a live event to virtual event, making sure that everybody would be able to use the technology and participate. And so our event had originally been scheduled for for April 4th. So it was literally, you know, 2 weeks after the governor shut everything down. And so people had already bought their tickets and were already planning on coming. And so we you know, while people were still on lockdown orders, so we had it at the end of the month. We shifted from the beginning of April to the end of April. And everybody that had already bought a ticket, we reached out to both through phone conversations and over email to let them know that we were pivoting to the virtual event. They had no choice if they would want a refund or if they wanted to still participate. Happy to report that only one person asked for a refund, and that was because they happened to live in Wisconsin and they weren't going to. They were coming down because we always give an annual award, and they were coming down to celebrate the award winner. And since she wasn't getting her award this year, we postponed that till next year. He asked for a refund, but everybody else still wanted to participate. And so a lot of our population is older, 60, 70, 80-year-olds from our community. And so we let them know that they were going to be getting a link for Zoom. Surprisingly, because people were shifting during this time, lots of people have been using Zoom. At this point, a month into lockdown, people were looking for fun reasons to connect and new ways to get together. And so most people agreed to participate. And then we offered, so our event started, with a dinner pickup between 4 and 6 that night. And then the evening event started at 6:30, as Stacy said. We offered from 12 to 1 to do a intro to Zoom. And so people could log in to a different Zoom call, but from 12 to 1 and test out, could they connect? Was their internet connection good enough? Did they have their screens up the way that they wanted? And I basically just walked them through, what the controls were and how to change things around so that it worked for them. We had a couple of dads that were in IT that are tech savvy. And so we asked them if they could be our tech support for the night of. And we emailed everybody that was coming to the event and gave them these 3 gentlemen's names, phone numbers, and email addresses, and said, if you have any trouble that night, reach out to them and they will help you get on, because we knew Stacy and I were going to be busy producing the event. And so we wanted to make sure that there was somebody that they could talk to and get technical help. And so we did have all 3 of the guys that we had on call did end up helping, 2 or 3 people, including our priest who wanted to do the prayer live and had trouble getting on. So it was great that we had tech support set up, and it definitely came in handy for both some of our participants as well as some of our presenters.
Wonderful. Great. And Karen, we're actually having some issues hearing you in the audio. So I'm going to transfer over to Stacy for a little bit. Sorry, I know you're in a very rural area, but we just want to make sure everyone hears everything. So Stacy, jumping to you. A question that we receive a lot is, how do we keep the focus on the mission during a virtual event? Can you quickly go over what we're seeing here and some tactics you all used for this?
Sure, absolutely. So you're seeing some pictures of a slideshow that we used that night, the one titled Heartstrings, and then on the left, that's a Facebook post of our last year's 8th grade class as they were graduating on. And sort of our unofficial mantra around the school is always, at least between Karen and I, to sort of do it for the kids, And so we feel like it's always important to remind the audience that, this was why they were on the Zoom call. This is why they were bidding on silent auction items. And our social media guru just does such a nice job of creating slideshows. So we gathered videos from as many 8th graders that we could, as well as faculty, and they each sort of gave their heartfelt messages to one another, what they would miss about St. Mary's or why that 8th grade class was so special. And it just really helps to remind people of why they're there and what they're doing it for. And another unique thing we had 2 6th grade girls who had written a song earlier in the year, and our wonderful music teacher had set music to it, so she played the piano for it. So we had a recording of that, of the 2 students singing that song, and then set it to a slideshow of pictures from all students, events, different things from throughout the year, the school play, forensics, just all kinds of activities, 8th grade buddies with their kindergarten buddies, reading together, stuff like that. And just again, to really remind everyone, and we played that right before we went in to our live auction. So hopefully people's hearts were opened, as well as their wallets, frankly, to, buy auction items and want to support the school. So.
Yes, perfect. And great. And moving right into this with the sponsorship commercials, can you tell us about how you guys made a pivot with your sponsorship and what we're seeing that you offered them that was really enticing for them to join in?
Sure. So our typical sponsorship package, included a lot of event signage, that we would post that night. And on all of our bidding sheets, we would have everyone's logo who was a sponsor at the bottom and things like that, stuff that was very visual for night of, in addition to our printed program. And so obviously switching to virtual event, we couldn't offer those same things. So we brainstormed about what we could do, and we switched to an emailed version of the program. And so all of their ads were included in that. And then also we decided to invite all of our sponsors to do a commercial, so to speak, a video, pre-recorded video that they sent to us. And then we played them, one or two at a time throughout the night to break things up. And they each got an opportunity to, showcase their business for that 30 to 60 minute spot. So the one on the left with the city skyline is from Ozinga, and their impact on the world as well as in our community. And the one on the right is an insurance agent local here in Dekalb, and she did a super special, great job. She actually went out to the school, you can see it in the background, and filmed herself out at the school. And then she decided to offer for every insurance quote she got from our participants, she then said she would donate $10 additionally for each one of those quotes. So it was a unique commercial, for her as well. So
That is awesome. I think, taking advantage and finding different ways to engage your sponsors, I know is a hot topic for a lot of people. And I know, Susanna, on these next couple of slides, talking some of the fundraising elements that really the team did, if you could walk us through, because I think there's a lot of value in terms of being creative, overall for people.
Sure, I'll walk us through, no problem. So here we have something they did. Karen worked on this mainly with Fatty's Pub and Grill. It was another parent's restaurant, I believe. And what they did is they set up an online store through their GiveSmart site in advance. So again, increasing reach. And what people were able to do is purchase it directly online and then go pick it up directly from Fatty's. So not only helping the organization with getting increased reach and creating and keeping that menu element, but also partnering with another restaurant and being able to help the community as well.
And Susanna, it's Karen. This was one of our attendees' favorite things, was the fact that we had partnered with a local restaurant and they were able to basically have access to the full bar. So they were able to, pick up a growler of cider or a growler of beer to have with their dinner. And because, it's a gala that has a dinner associated with it, they still got their meal. We did a drive-through socially distant pickup time between 4 and 6 p.m. and they would pick up their dinner that they paid for with their ticket, as well as any additional items, including kids' meals and drinks.
Fantastic. Thank you, Karen. I'm so glad to have you back. Sorry about the audio. And Karen, while I have you here too, so this is the heads or tails game, which we all might be familiar with, but you guys made this interactive. Would you mind just going ahead and telling us, how did you do heads or tails interactive?
Absolutely. So we always use heads or tails as the icebreaker at the end of our dinner and before we start our live auction, as a way of getting people in the live event to get up and moving around and be ready to, focus again for the 45 minutes or so of the live auction. And so we did the same thing here. When our silent auction ended and our heartstrings program ended, we then moved into heads or tails as a way of getting people engaged again before we started the live auction portion of the evening. And so what we did is we had people click on an item. So we created an instant purchase item through the GiveSmart site where they would pay their $10 to play. And then it was usually we charged $10 per person. This time we just charged $10 per family. So, anybody that was on the Zoom would pay, $10 for that whole group of people that was together. And then the people that were playing, we asked them to, make sure that their camera was on so we could see them. And Greg, Stacy's husband, who was our MC for the evening, would, flip the coin the same way that we always do and call it. Anybody that was not playing was asked to turn their camera off so that we could just see who was playing. And then if you were out on that round, then you would turn your camera off and sit down. And so only the people that were in the next rounds and subsequent rounds would keep their cameras on until finally we just had one person left with their camera on. And again, we had a prize for this, and it was a lot of fun, and it was just a good way to get people interacting with each other and up and moving instead of just sitting in front of their laptop during the event.
That is awesome. I'm curious, Karen, I'm sure I'm not the only one, from just feedback you guys got from people. I mean, did people find it entertaining? Obviously, a part of it is raising money, but then a part of it is the engagement and keeping people active. So I'm curious, from a feedback perspective, did people find it fun or, hard to use or anything like that?
No, I think most people found it fun. The feedback that we got afterwards was that it was a hoot watching people, on the screens with their hands on their heads or their hands on their behinds. And for folks that were at home with their kids, the kids greatly enjoyed it, and people enjoyed seeing the kids having fun. So it was a good source of entertainment for the evening.
It sounds so fun. And you guys were also able to keep your live auction as part of this and also interactive. We were looking through, and Patrick and I were saying, this is the largest virtual silent auction. If someone's done it more, write in the chat, let us know. But Stacey, I'm going to pass it back to you on this. Can you just tell us the logistics behind doing a virtual live auction? How long did it last, and how do you do each item?
Okay, sure. So, as I mentioned before, we really wanted to try our best to recreate the excitement of the night of when we have our live auctioneer. He does such a great job of keeping it fun, and so we wanted to do the same thing. So people were engaged and having a good time just as if we were in person. So my husband and I did our best. So we teamed up together, and he would read descriptions. So we pretty much did maybe 3 or 4 at a time, and he would read a summary of what was in the program, kind of letting people know what each item was in general. And then at the same time, I had my iPad pulled up, and I could see all the bids coming in through the site. So then when he was done kind of describing things, I would then circle back and I'd say, okay, well, we're up to $500 on the Walter cabin in Rock Creek. And, oh, the Smith family just joined, jumped in. Now we're up to 700. Come on, everybody, let's get your bids in. And we tried to make it playful and fun and sort of, call out the guests a little bit as they were bidding, and sort of try to give them that encouragement, and maybe peer pressure, I guess you could say, to keep on going to win their item. And we just sort of did that sort of over and over. So we would read 3 items, circle back on the bids, we'd read 3 more items and circle back. And it would probably took about an hour total in general. And we tried to, put some fun things in there, like, for example, the Escape to Pier, Michigan was a weekend getaway that a family had donated to a home they own in Michigan. So, my husband downloaded the theme music from the commercials, Pure Michigan, and then he tried to speak he spoke in that Tim Allen's voice, kind of low and quiet as he read the description, sort of picture, your Pure Michigan. So we just tried to make it fun in that way, so that people were having a good time while they listened to us. And then hopefully, bid. If you're having fun, you want to be a part of it, so you're going to bid. And
Absolutely.
yeah, logistically, the way we did this, normally it would have been in our system as a live item. But because of being virtual, what we did was we made these all silent auction items, but we did not turn them on until the designated time. So I think that was around 8 o'clock. Karen turned them all on so people could start bidding while we spoke about them. And then they closed then at 9 when we were done.
Perfect. Thank you, Stacey. I think you went through all the logistics there. Appreciate it. And
Yeah.
Karen, we're going to jump straight to you. Another portion of your live auction was a golden ticket. Usually this means that the golden ticket takes place of one item. So whoever wins that gets to pick their live auction item, and that will not be put in the live auction. So Karen, can you talk about this video that you created and this widget here and kind of how you guys did this on the back end to make it fun?
Sure. So at our live event, we usually draw the winner of the golden ticket. And so as Susanna said, the winner gets the prize. They get to pick any of our live auction items as their prize. So usually this is great for us because we end up making more money on the golden ticket than sometimes we do on some of the items. The average, I think the highest our live auction items have gone for, in the neighborhood of 2,000 or 2,100. We only sell 25 tickets, so we're guaranteed $2,500 for the item, and so that works out great for us from a fundraising standpoint. And so because we wanted to create that excitement like we usually do the night of, where we're drawing it live and the person gets to pick their item, we usually draw it at the beginning of dinner and they have until the end of dinner to pick their prize. We created that same excitement. So we had a segment in our virtual schedule where we were going to pick the winner of the golden ticket. So we had sold these all in advance, and so I entered them. There's an online free widget called, I think it's called Spin a Wheel, or you can, I should have Googled it to see what it was called exactly. But it is, you enter the names in, and it created a segment on the wheel for each of the people that had bought our tickets, and then you just click it, and it clicks around like a real wheel and then flashes onto the screen the name of the winner. And so it's a really fun way. People got so excited. They actually felt like, we had some people tell us they felt like it was live, even though it was a video that they were watching. So I had pulled it in the afternoon, and I had my husband video me giving an introduction to what the golden ticket was, showing everybody my laptop screen with the wheel, spinning the wheel and having the winner picked. And then because we had pre-recorded it the afternoon of the event, I then called the winner and told them that they had won, and found out which item that they had selected. And so then we had that family video the winner announcing what item he had picked, and then our technology teacher kind of blended the two videos together. So we had one segment to play that had me explaining what this was, showing the wheel spinning and the winner, and then showing the reaction of the winner and then the item that they picked. So it was a lot of fun. And I had multiple people that had bought tickets tell me that they, were watching the wheel go around hoping it was them, even though they would have been called earlier in the day if they had one.
That is so fun. I think it's great how you were able to take that from in-person to virtual and make it so fun. And last slide here, because we could talk to you guys all day with all of the elements you did. And there's a screenshot of your categories that you had, just kind of showing all of those things. But a new thing, or a way that you guys changed the game here, is this sign-up parties. People may have heard of sign-up parties as like, buy a spot for your kid to join a pizza party. But you guys thought a little bit outside the room here. So I'm going to have Karen do the top, Stacy do the bottom to wrap us up. And just tell us what this unique item is. And is it something, you did this in April, is it something you still feel you could do today?
Yep. So the first item on there is the personal message on our school marquee. So this is a sign that you see as you pull into our school driveway. And we basically charge families $25 to put a personal message up. So it could be happy 10th birthday, Addie, or it could be we're so proud of you, happy graduation. And so these messages get displayed throughout the year. We limit the number that we sell. We usually try and limit it to 50 messages or less, so that we're not always having a personal message up there. And we do make sure that the messages are appropriate. But people can, it's kind of like an instant buy item, but we do it as a sign-up party so that we have a limited number of spots and they can tell us what their message is. And it's always popular. Kids get excited to see their name up on a sign, and so it's always a fun item. And so yes, this is something that we would continue because people do still drive by the school and see the sign, and we are back in-person schooling this year as long as we can, and so the sign does get utilized to communicate to our community.
Fantastic, thanks. And Stacey, you're up.
Okay, sure. So our second item is our adult mystery dinner. We've been doing this for a couple of years, my husband and I and another couple. actually team up to host this, and it's so much fun. And it's basically just you know, a mystery theme, and dinner and desserts and drinks and everything, kind of the whole, like a big dinner party that we host at our home. And our maximum participants is 16, but we started at 8, but the popularity has grown so much from year to year. It's something we've continued to add. We actually do 2 parties every year of a group of 16 now, because it always sells out in the first 2 or 3 minutes. So it's a really fun item. And I think, yeah, we definitely plan to continue to do it. I think that given all the shutdowns and things like that, if the timing doesn't work to have a group of that size, you know, our date is for February, next February. Given this party, I think we would, you know, push our date back a little bit and then do this party outside easily with a picnic table and, you know, some trailer park food. So I think it's really fun, and everyone's flexible, and we could easily adapt it to be done outside to still meet social distancing, you know, needs and stuff.
Absolutely.
Oh, that is awesome. And again, I think Susanna said it was, you know, I think especially schools, we see a lot of sign up parties, but the way it wasn't just, you know, hey, a classroom thing, I think it is very impressive, and you guys did a great job. And so we will keep moving along. And Alla, we're going to give Karen, Susanna, and Stacy a chance to stretch their legs, enjoy recess, if you will, and toss it over to you on some interesting data points here.
Okay, thank you, Patrick. Well, you all put in so much effort to engage your audience, and we wanted to see you know, what those efforts resulted in. And we saw that thanks to your creativity and pre-education, your usership went up across the board between bids, users, and revenue. So we thought that was really great. But we also wanted to know if this was a special case, or this is something that all of our clients are experiencing. So Patrick, if you can go on to the next slide for me. We saw that across the board, we've had more users than ever. So there really is a correlation to more people equals more potential, meaning more fundraising efforts. And we think a lot of this is because we are no longer confined to the capacity of the venue. We are confined to the capacity of our marketing, which it can be exponential. So that was really, really great to see. In the next slide, we also wanted to see when is the fundraising happening? You know, we've all had, one of the things that I had said earlier is that one of the things we think is creating more confidence is more lead time to the event. And what we've seen is, compared to 2018 and 2019, fundraising efforts have started happening sooner and sooner. And we asked why do we think that is? I think it's due to the sponsorship push that we are seeing now more than ever. A lot of the time sponsorships were a focus, but there was such a huge focus on getting individuals into the room. And now that those sales aren't happening, there is a bigger focus on getting bigger sponsorships. And while all of these different companies that you might work with, they are budgeting sooner and sooner. So the earlier you can start your relationship with them, the more likely they are to be one of your big sponsors. So early bird gets the worm, and early is equal on time in our case. With that said, we wanted to say, like, these numbers are great and we love to see it, but we all know that these numbers only happened because of the effort that our clients are putting in with creativity, with their strategies, and this is all an accumulation of those efforts and the organizations that we partner with. So hats off to each of you for working hard and making things happen, because that's the reason why we see this engagement piece go up exponentially compared to years before.
That is beautifully stated, and definitely some interesting insights there. Al, thank you very much. And before we get into the Q&A section, just a reminder on some upcoming webinars that we have. We'll be taking a commercial break next week, but returning 2 weeks from now with Kylie Johnson from the Pencil Foundation. So make sure you bring your notepad again, out of Nashville, Tennessee, to talk about some of the innovative things they've been working on. And in the month of September, our primary webinar is going to be discussing managing more and some campaigns you can run to close the year-end gap. And so with that, I will do my best here to channel my inner auctioneer voice and keep sending in the questions. If there's something we don't get a chance to cover on the call, we'll make sure that we send out with the recording after the fact. So Karen or Stacy, the first question for either of you that I realized we didn't even ask you yet is about how many students are enrolled at St. Mary's?
We have about 200 students enrolled every year. And that, as I said, that's across 3-year-olds through 8th grade.
Okay, that is awesome. And I think even more so the fact that, you know, it isn't 2,000 makes some of the stuff you guys did even more impressive there. And so Stacy, I think this one would be for you is how did you handle sponsors for the Lancer Dash, which I know is upcoming. So if it's still in flux, totally get it. So where were the sponsors? What type of businesses have you guys approached? Did they give away t-shirts or did you all give away t-shirts with sponsor logos? So I guess in general, just how the sponsorship process is going for the Lancer Dash overall.
Okay, yeah, we do. I think like the main benefit that the sponsor gets is their logo on the back of our race t-shirt, which I think that was pictured on the one slide there. So on the back side is all the sponsors, you know, proudly supporting St. Mary's School. And then they also receive Facebook posts, and we offered our higher level sponsors also like the commercial option, like we talked about for the Lancer Ball. So we sort of use that same philosophy for the Dash then this year, because they aren't getting the typical signs, you know, at the event where everybody would visually see those. So we're doing that. And then we also use like newsletters and emails to past participants and to the church community to thank all of our sponsors and let everyone know who is supporting us.
That is awesome. And actually a question that I can paraphrase rightly, Karen, on the, speaking of the Legacy Ball and the sponsor commercials, did each sponsor get a 30-second spot, so to say, or was there time based upon their overall sponsorship level? So if I gave, you know, $2 versus $1, I got 60 seconds, or was it an equal distribution for all of them?
Great question. We gave everybody the same amount of time, but it was based on their level. So our lowest level of sponsorship did not come with a video, but we have 5 tiers in our sponsorship, but the other 4 levels did. And so they were all asked to submit a 30 to 60 second video. The reason why we did that is we didn't think anything longer than 30 to 60 seconds would be engaging for our community members to watch. And so we wanted to keep them short and pithy. But we did want to give that opportunity to our sponsors in appreciation for them pivoting with us. And so, and as Stacy had described, probably 3/4 of them took us up on it, but there were a few that didn't.
That is, as a person whose attention span isn't as long as it should be, I think you did a good job picking the duration time and going in that way. And really, the next couple of questions, either one between Karen or Stacy. A few questions came around about the dance entry fee. So correct me if I'm wrong, the people voted and it was $0 to vote. Is that correct?
Correct, yes. And we told people that we would be monitoring it, that they could not vote Chicago style. So it was 1 vote per person. They could only vote once. There is not a way, I don't think, in the GiveSmart system to limit that, because usually you use the vote function for fundraising and you want people to vote often to raise more money. But we, in our case, didn't. So I just downloaded that into there's a report that you can run. I just downloaded it into an Excel spreadsheet, sorted it quickly to remove the duplicate entries, and then just went with whoever had the most unique number of votes. But yes, we did not have them pay for a vote. So we just set it up as a $0 entry, and it worked just great.
No, that's awesome. And I know you guys mentioned that both for the heads and tails and the dance contest, the winners got a prize. But the question is, in regards to just entrants and everybody who sent it in, was it hard to recruit people? Did they get anything for just sending in a video? Or I guess, you know, overall, the overall participation level from the dancers, you know, was it a struggle, or were people more than willing to participate?
So for the dance contest, it started off a little slow because some people were like, what? I don't want to submit a video of myself dancing. And so it did start off a little bit slow, but we used email and Facebook to show a couple of examples, and we kind of gave people ideas over how they could create the video, because this was early in the shutdowns, right? So not everybody was comfortable taking videos at the time. And we had one family that was all over TikTok and doing some very funny and amusing TikTok videos. And the rest of us were like, there's no way I could do anything like that. So we got the first couple of entries in and then made sure that everybody knew that they were posted so that they could see what other people were doing. And then that generated more. People were like, oh, I can do that, right? So so that helped kind of get it going once we got the first, 2 submitted. And then we did end up, we had a local pizza, Papa John's Pizza, that donated, I think they gave us 20 or 30 free pizzas. And so we ended up having enough of those free pizzas that we were able to give everybody that entered a thank you prize for entering. We didn't publicize that up front just because we weren't sure if we were going to have enough pizzas. But we did end up giving a prize to everybody that entered.
That is awesome. And again, a question for either one of you. And as you mentioned, the videos and people's comfort level with doing it. I'm curious to ask you guys, as it pertains to Zoom and just doing it, did you guys run into any issues, whether it's the video or audio quality with so many people, or maybe people who didn't know what Zoom was at the moment you guys ran it? Just kind of the overall feedback from donors and participants on that experience overall.
Yeah, most people, we did not run into anybody that didn't know what Zoom was. We did run into some of the older people that hadn't used it before that were like, oh, is it hard? Is it easy? And so when we had them on the phone, when we were talking about the event, we described what it was and they were willing to try it. And again, we had the intro to Zoom session for them earlier in the day so that they could get comfortable with it. We did have some technical glitches. As we said, like we had early in the program was going, like our principal was doing an opening and then our priest was doing an opening and the priest couldn't get on. So we had a little bit of a delay there. And so our schedule, our perfectly laid out schedule didn't go exactly to the minute as planned, but that was okay. We rolled with the punches. And then Stacy, there was another glitch that we had that I can't remember what it was, but I remember, so we had those of us that were producing it. So we had Stacy and her husband, Joe was our Zoom master, and then I was sort of our Give Smart master. So if somebody placed a bid and, they put in $10,000 instead of $100, I could correct it in the back end. So we had the 4 of us all connected via text during the event. And so that helped us with any glitches that happened to pop up. And then having a dedicated Zoom master or somebody that, is running the program, like making sure that, the videos are playing when they're supposed to, and that people are talking when they're supposed to, and people are muted when they're supposed to. Making sure that all went well, having a dedicated person for that was super helpful. And we just had one of the dads that was comfortable with the technology kind of volunteer for that role.
That is fantastic. And I think that anybody listening who's about to do something virtually should designate a Zoom master and potentially get them a hat or a t-shirt or some sort of branding swag. But I think in particular, I really like what you just said about that there was a team behind the scenes, because I think that is something that the planning that goes into, okay, we're going to be face to face, the same level of detail and almost, I think sometimes more, has to be put into, some of these online or virtual things, because you're not in the same place and 4 people, doing it. So I think you guys did a masterful job. And the last question for both of you to answer is, you did it in April, we sit here in August. So for people who are looking to potentially in September, October, do this time, what sort of lessons or things, hey, I wish we would have done, or advice would you give people who were, looking at doing this for the first time and it might be a little bit hesitant about what's about to happen?
I would say just, look at the big picture and how to engage people and make it a fun event and have faith. We were amazed at what we were able to do in a super short amount of time. Great ideas were flowing from our committee, and it just all kind of fell into place, and we were so pleased with our results, made more money than we ever have before, and it just turned out amazing. So I just keep plugging away and keep trying to bring in the fun, and the rest I feel like will fall into place.
Yeah, and I would just add to that, like, don't be afraid to try. Like, we were having some ideas where we're like, is that going to work? You know, like the heads or tails on a Zoom screen. We're like, is that going to work, or is this going to be goofy? Or are people really going to pay the $10 to do this or not? And so we thought, well, nothing ventured, nothing gained. Let's give it a try. And so we just tried to be as creative as we could, you know, willing to take the risk. You know, if it didn't do as well as in person, then it was still better than nothing. And it was just a fun way to, you know, be able to continue to engage and continue to move the mission of the school forward. So my advice would just be try it and just iterate on it for next time. If it works, continue to make it better. And if it didn't, then move on to the next creative idea. But we were lucky, as Stacy said, we definitely exceeded our goal, and we're very, very happy with the result.
That is, obviously it's great to hear you guys exceeded your goal. And I know for everybody that the revenue is an important thing, but I think more than anything, don't be afraid to try is a message I think that resonates, I know, with me, and I think something that we've heard over all of these different outside the room sessions and in general talking with people. And I think you guys did a great job of it. And again, we give you a lot of kudos. And that time flew by there, and we made it fun. And really a quick final note that at the end of this, for all of you listening, you'll see a survey that if you could please take a quick moment to fill out and give us your feedback so that we can take the content and really shape it in a way that's going to be the most impactful for you. But Karen and Stacy, truly thank you so much to the two of you for joining us today and handling the hurdles of a few audio issues and pushing through. We really do appreciate it.
Thank you
for having us.
Absolutely. And Susanna, Ala, as always, thanks to both of you for joining us and sharing some awesome insight as well.
Thanks for having us.
Absolutely. And last but certainly not least, thanks to all of you for joining. We are in your corner, and really can't emphasize enough, don't be afraid to try, and know that you too can emulate the success that St. Mary's School in Dekalb, Illinois has achieved. And so don't hesitate to reach out if there's anything we can help continue to drive towards your goal and hopefully end up in the poll results of We May Surpass It. So with that, thank you again and have a great rest of the day.